are you all? Today I just wanted to discuss about my exclusive services that I provide as a Sikh wedding toastmaster and coordinator. Now, ladies and gents, having been in the industry for a long time, first of all I would like to tell you about my website, which is www.asianweddingtoastmaster.co.uk. I love Sikh weddings. I love working with the clients from day one. It's basically working with them and fine-tuning absolutely everything right up until the day. Now, the type of Sikh weddings I've been involved with, first of all I've been involved with Ramgarhia, with Jat and with Batra, and others, but they're the main three that I've actually dealt with. Now what I love with Sikh weddings, I work with the clients from day one. I'll do all the scheduling, speak again to all the suppliers to make sure that everyone will arrive and set up on time on the day of reception. Everyone will be at the Gurdwara on time. I'm also at the Gurdwara, so I'll make sure we get the caterers there on time as well. I'll get to the Gurdwara and make sure that the bridegroom is ready. So I'll always arrive basically at the Gurdwara probably around an hour before the bride actually arrives. Now, as I say, prior to doing that on the day, I would have spoken to every single supplier. And now this is very, very important. I would have spoken to hair and makeup to make sure the bride doesn't overrun. I would have spoken to someone from both sides of the family just to make sure we get everybody and we get the bride to the temple on time, the family to the temple on time. I would have spoken to the groom's side to make sure that the barat leaves on time. So I asked to speak to one person from each side of the family. This is very, very, very important. It's something totally to stay on top of. Because if it's not, it could throw out the whole day. So, so I'll make sure that I'll speak to somebody from both sides, make sure the barat leaves, make sure the bride's hair and makeup is on time, make sure the photographers are at the bride and groom on time, and very important is to make sure the sarabandi, which is when the groom has his turban fitted, doesn't overrun at the house. Because sometimes this can. So we always say, if I'm not at the house, to have somebody strong to push people along, not by the scruff of their necks, but in a nice way, of course, So that can vary because at the end of the day, some of the sequences, all the action happens at the house, to be honest with you. You get the groom going on the horse, it sometimes happens, and people are dancing, you've got your, you've got the dole drummers there at the house, you're getting everybody onto the coaches. Depending sometimes it's basically segregated where you have the men on one coach, the women on the other coach. That's generally at Batra weddings or more religious Sikh weddings, but generally it's all mixed. It's men and women all in one coach, So sometimes it's very, very early everything starts. Because what sometimes happens at Sikh weddings, you might have, for example, a groom. The groom might be in Ilford, but then the bride might be up in Nottingham. So it's really, really early, and it's imperative that everyone is there on time, and away. And this is what I sort of emphasise, that and it works really, really nicely, provided we get everybody on the same side. We get the bride side and the groom side all on the same side. We get everyone together on WhatsApp as well, so everyone's talking, and then things will just run lovely. Because the last thing that we want to do is for things to be really, really, really rushed. Oh, last minute, we've got to do this, we've got to do that, we've got to do that, we've got to do this. Don't let that happen. Give yourself a buffer. Give yourself plenty and plenty of time, especially if the distance is vast. Like I just said, I've had it on occasions where you've had a groom in Ilford and a bride in Nottingham. I've had it only recently. You've had, I've had a groom again in Leicester and a bride in Glasgow. So you've got to allow enough time to leave very, 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 very early. As soon as the ceremony has been done, get away from the boy's house. Go as quick, go straight there. Go straight to either the girl's house if you're going to be basically doing another ceremony at the girl's house, and the boy will be on the horse and driving to the girl's driveway, or alternatively, go straight to the Gurdwara, depending on what caste really you are of Sikh, to be honest with you. So so that's very, very important. I mean, once I'm at the Gurdwara, and I'm there, I'm happy, I've got everything underway, I'll be in touch with both sides, as I said, make sure the parking's all there and needed as well. It's taking the stress off of everybody and everything. This is bringing direction and coordination and taking the stress off everybody so the family don't have to worry. Now, this is very, very, very important. Now, as I say, when I'm at the Gurdwara, the first thing that will happen is, as I say, I've checked, caterers are there, all done, all ready. I've got the turban on my head, basically, which they give me at the Gurdwara. I'll check where the toilets are. I'll check the main side, check the ladies' side. You know, some temples want you to walk around in bare feet. It happens, no problem. Others are happy just you to wear your socks. But it depends on how. Sometimes some Gurdwaras are a little bit more. Although they're very religious, but some are more religious, so to speak, than other Gurdwaras. So that, yeah, that's the way it is, and it's, you know, you respect the wishes, totally respect the wishes. So once the bride arrives at the Gurdwara, she'll go to her room, she'll relax, have a few drinks, really, and then what I'll do is I'll make my way outside. I'll just double check that everything's okay, you know, in the Gurdwara, in the hall, basically. Because sometimes with a Gurdwara, it depends on the Gurdwara. You might have a big hall one side, you might have a small hall another side, and you might have enough room to put both sides in for breakfast in the same place. It happens. So you just make sure that everything is on point. But the important thing is teamwork again. Working very, very, very closely with people, you know, is important. That is vital. So you're working with your photographers, your videographers, you're working with a Gurdwara, probably with a president of the Gurdwara and a committee. You know, there's lots and lots of things to take, you know, to bear in mind. Some of the Gurdwaras don't allow dole drummers, some do. So it's a matter of getting all clarity on everything, really. You've got to abide by the laws, abide by the rules, you know. And then what basically happens on a Sikh wedding day is, you know, the groom will arrive at the right time. I'll have the bride side already outside waiting, just probably outside the front of the Gurdwara, front of the temple, or if there's another nice area, maybe if it's bad weather inside the temple, and you know, and we'll bring the groom, and we'll do the milnis. So generally, it's as much as dancing in the Bharat is nice. I think it's great. So a lot of temples won't allow it inside their gates, so it'll be outside, you know, and you know, you'll have a little dance off, you know, and then what will happen is after everyone's danced, we'll do the milnis. So the meal is basically you've got the groom side have arrived, so they're the bride's guests. So again, so for example, it'll be grandparents first. So and so meet so and so, come together, you know, give them a little gift, pose for the camera, nice. Then you do the next ones. Normally 10 milnis maybe. Sometimes the ladies are done at the Gurdwara, sometimes they're not. Sometimes the family want the bride's milnis done at the venue, which I do. So, do you know, it happens all the time. To be honest with you, you know, once the once the meals have generally been done, we invite everyone into breakfast. We'll have the groom's side to go in first. There's the guests followed by the bride's side, and as they go in, the bride's side might give them a few little treats, some sweets maybe as they walk in, which happens quite a lot. So really, and they're lovely, they are. So maybe a bit of mithai, maybe. So they'll walk in, have some breakfast. Probably about, I mean, look, we get 45 minutes for breakfast is nice, but sometimes things have to happen quicker if things are running late. But as I say, with that, I like to make sure I've got someone from each side on my side. You know, from who I can speak to if things are running late and people are becoming lax. Then, you know, I can ask for their assistance just to speak to so and so to get them to move on a bit, and it works nicely. It's done in a nice way, you know. Sometimes, you know, I always find at the Gurdwaras as well, I say the groom can arrive on a horse, which is always nice. Yeah, and that's, you know, be honest with you, that's something that we do provide. I provide the horses as well, and horse and carriages. It happens, which is nice. It's a nice entrance for the groom to make on the horse with the drummers. So yeah. So, I mean, as I say, they go in for breakfast, have some samosas, have some teas, have some coffees. Really nice. I love the Sikh breakfast. Great. You know, and once the breakfast has occurred, once breakfast has happened, we'll start moving people up, get everybody seated. So we'll have, you know, you'll have the groom's side to the right, the bride's side to the left. Once everyone's in them, I'm really happy. You know, everyone's bowed before the gunny. They're all sitting down. Then I'll bring the groom. We'll bring the groom through his family, holding the sword, of course. Has to be done. Good old, because it's a nice tradition. I love it. So you know, bring the bring the groom through, come through nicely. Then basically, yeah, they'll do a few prayers. You know, the groom will sit down, they'll do a few prayers and everything, and then the rugs will go on the floor, and you'll have the bride will come in. The bride will come maybe 15, 20 minutes later, you know, and sometimes quicker, it's about 15 minutes. But sometimes as well, the family do the kurumai prior to the bride coming in, which is basically the kurumai is a very important one. Yeah, it's exchange of gifts, that type of thing. So yeah, as Rupin here said, it's always good to have contact from either side. And for me, that is so vital, to be honest with you. But it's you know, I feel happier and I feel at ease when I'm coordinating a wedding. You know, and I've got somebody to work with from both sides. It makes it flow nicer. I love it. So basically, guests come in. They're all sat down. Groom comes in, bride comes in 15 minutes later. Then what will happen is at the end of the wedding, well, as we come to the end of the wedding, you'll have the tabla players will be playing, and then just before they leave, everyone will get up and they give a little donation. That donation basically goes to the temple as well, which is nice, because it helps the temple stay alive. Really, donations are lovely. You're donating to a really nice cause, to be honest with you, the Gurdwaras, And then what happens at the end, what I like to happen is, try to get everyone into a nice straight line, really nicely. Have the bride and groom sitting down on the floor, and then I invite the parents up first, then the brothers and sisters to give their shuggan, give their money, basically the gifts, and then and everybody else. But I like to speak to the president in advance, and I say to him, look, can I make an announcement just to get everybody off to the venue as quick as possible. So what I like to do is, as soon as they've given shuggan, everyone's queued up, get everybody straight on those coaches, really quick. Straight on the coaches, straight to the venue, done. Sometimes there's a civil ceremony involved here as well, and the civil ceremony can sometimes happens in one of the offices of the Gurdwara. They've got their own registrar, generally at the temple, but sometimes they bring the registrar in. It just depends again, And the civil ceremony is generally quite small, just very, very immediate family, a few witnesses from each side. That's when it's done, just a formality, really. And then, in that point, the bride and groom, will have a few photos. They might go home to freshen up. It just depends. They're all different. They might have the vidai from home. Sorry, not the vidai, the dolly. They might have the dolly from home. They may have the dolly from the temple. It just depends, really. It depends on the family, exactly what they want done. As I say, in a Batra wedding, everything's done at the houses. The milners are done at the house, done at the girl's house. Everything's segregated, basically. So, you just go with it. You go with whatever the clients want. You talk to them, you discuss it, and you fine-tune it just to make it work for them. Secret reception's great, so when everyone arrives at the venue, everyone will have nice drinks and canapes served, really nice. Often nice champagne as well, just to enjoy, and I direct people to the table playing. And once everything's ready inside, I would have spoke to the suppliers prior, just to make sure they were going to arrive on time. Make sure that that they arrived when they were supposed to, with the right access, that type of thing. And the important thing is, as I say, I don't want to devoid the bride and groom and their guests of any party time. So the important thing is to get things moving. So normally after about an hour, maybe an hour and a half, we'll get guests in to be seated, which is important, getting everyone to be seated. Then following everyone's being seated again, I make it really nice. Invite the parents of the bride and groom in, really get them some rapturous applause, make it special for them. But again, prior to that, I like to make sure the bar's closed. For these special entrances, I know Punjabis, they love a drink, and good luck to them. It's lovely to see, to be honest. And but there are certain points, it's the same as Hindu weddings, where the bars must be closed. When we get people seated, when we bring the parents in, when we bring the bride and grooms in, when we do the speeches, just those points, the bar must be closed. Otherwise, if it's not closed, it defeats the object of me getting everyone seated, and for me to make sure the entrances are a lot smoother and everything goes a lot smoother. That's just my personal point of view, and it works very, very well. The caterers like that as well, to be honest with you. So, you know, once, as I say, once the parents are in, I'm happy. I like the bride and groom to come in after the parents, but generally at a Sikh wedding, you know, they're having a few photos, they might have got changed, so they might come in after the starters. So the starters will come in once everyone's seated. You know, I'll do a little welcome speech to open it up. I'll do a few of my very special touches, you know, warm the guests up a little bit, make it really good, and then bring in the, after starters, bring in the couple. Bring the couple in straight to the cake. And you know, basically do the cake cutting, cake feeding, a little champagne ceremony, bring the parents round. Do have a few other little touches as well, some other little photos. I've got sort of quite a few different things up my sleeve, to be honest with you. Then announce the first dance, get the party underway. And I love to join in. I love to join on that dance floor, you know, it's brilliant. Sikh weddings, you know, the atmosphere, it's the same as all Asian weddings, it's just phenomenal. You know, and Sikh weddings I really join in. I get lifted up and everything, but yeah, let them do it. It's just brilliant, to be honest with you. You know, once the music's finished there, I would have liaised with the caterers just to check we're all okay, check with the kitchen they're all okay to get everyone seated and the food's ready. Now, the first thing that I would do is get the bride and groom sat down at the head table. And then what will basically happen is the bride will bring the, it's what they call a thali ceremony. So the towel, there'll be the towel will come out of the kitchen with a cover over it. The cover being a towel to cover it all up. The towel will be covered with a, and then what will happen is the bride's family will take the towel to the groom's side, and then they'll follow them up to the stage and they'll feed the bride and groom. And there's money that goes in every time. It's a question. Do the basically, do they have a pocket of money at this point? Do the family have a pocket of money? Who knows? I don't think they do. I just think it's just done for a show, really, which is nice. Now, once the tile has been done, the food comes out, everyone enjoys their food. Let people enjoy it, let people relax, bars open, let them have a drink, that type of thing. And then get the music underway, you know. So the DJ will, you know, he'll be doing what he needs to do. We'll get everybody onto the dance. We'll get the dole drummers out. If there's a couple of live acts, you know, they might have a singer. So, you know, it's all great, really. It's just a brilliant atmosphere. So what I generally what I do is at a Sikh wedding, I'll either leave at that point or generally I'll stay to the end. You know, because what we'll do is we'll do the last circle, get the bride to go around one way, the groom to go around the other to say goodbye to everyone. Then announce them for the last dance. That's if they do it that way. But, however, at a Sikh wedding, we tend to find that the bride leaves early because she's going back to her house to do the dolly. Sometimes I say they'll do the dolly from the temple. It just depends. It does happen. But, you know, sometimes, again, the bride will leave the venue early to do the dolly. But the DJ will carry on for a little while, you know, and people dance. But sometimes when the bride goes, things just tend to wind down a little bit, to be honest with you. And, you know, that kind of ends things at the Sikh wedding. There's lots more other things that go on, to be honest with you. At the venue, there's a ladies' meals which I'll conduct, make it nice. But the important thing is you do it all with a smile. You enjoy what you're doing. You know, you're going to sometimes get people that disagree with what you're doing and everything. A family member might come up to you, do it this way, do it that way. But the important thing is, I like to have somebody from each side of the family to fall back on. You know, because my instructions would have been from the bride and groom, the way they want things done, with obviously with my input, the way to enhance things. It's up to me to make sure that the wedding day, the Sikh wedding day and the reception is one to remember for a lifetime and beyond, and to make it into an exceptionally unique experience, an exclusive experience for the bride and groom. So, guys, I want to say thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you again.